What's up, everybody? So I'm just going to take you through a new tool that I've created using Bolt, but I wanted to go over specifically some of the stuff that I talked about in a previous tweet related to why it is important to think in terms of probabilistic terms, which is what LLMs essentially use, versus deterministic, and how that shows up in the code. So just as a first up, what this tool does, I combined the idea of Techtris with sort of a tool stack builder. So if you actually, try putting in any new tools, you can essentially put them into here. Let me just put this for now. All right, and it'll come down like Tetris. All right, and in this particular tool, if you notice, when I click on a tool, it's going to generate the descriptions for them. And what it's doing here, instead of using hard-coded information inside a specific .ts file or even in a Supabase database, I'm using the user's local storage so that some of this information remains persistent, but we're not using a database to store all this information. Why? So one thing I noticed is that when you're trying to build these apps using AI, it will essentially try to parse information when it makes a call to a tool like OpenAI or Claude, etc., right? And you often get all these errors that keep popping up inside tools like Bolt and Lovable, maybe even Create. But it is because they're essentially trying to create a deterministic output or return for you versus just allowing the AI to give you results in the way that it knows best, right? In a probabilistic sense. And so what I've realized is that it's much easier for me to test things by allowing the LLM to do its thing and then only storing the information that I want and try to parse things later on in the process when I actually need to store that information into a database, etc. So where does this show up? Now let's try and go into some of the code here. All right. So I think it might be here. Okay. So here's a perfect example, right, of what is happening. So this piece of code, this section here, is actually for the dropdown here, okay? So AI, if I made a call to AI, right, when I put in, say, Framer, right, it can make a call to OpenAI and find that information out automatically and then pull it in here, right, without me needing to hard code that in that file that I just showed you. But what I've done instead is I've had it so that the user puts in their tool. I might have some tools that are inside my app that are listed, but for the most part, I'll just allow the user to maybe put in their own tools, categorize it, and then add the tool. And then only after that they've added the tool, when they go to click on a tool here, I'll then do an OpenAI call. I want to try and find a tool that I haven't gotten information for yet. Okay, here. So this is one. So Claude. So you can notice that it will essentially look to OpenAI to make the call there. And again, I'm trying to find a tool that hasn't already been generated by me. All right, all of these have been generated. So have I put Chrome already? Let me put Chrome anyways. All right. So put Chrome, now it's generating, okay? So it does the OpenAI call there as opposed to when I enter here. Well, of course, during demo, it never works, right? But let's just say that it does successfully generate the tool description. You get this sort of information, yeah? But we don't need it up here. And I also don't want to try and hard code everything into the dropdown. It can be useful at times, but not always. So, all right, so we then, it has all these categories, right? And let's have a look. Tool store. What I'm looking for now is where I've put the information related to the OpenAI stuff, right? So there's an okay, here we go. All right, so here you can see what it's now starting to do, right? Of course, I put my OpenAI key into a .env file, so you can't see that. This isn't always the most secure way, FYI, of doing things, but it's better than nothing. And you'll notice here that these are the prompts that are going in. Okay. Now, previously, what it was doing in a deterministic way, it was putting more information in the prompt aspect up front versus what I wanted to do, which is to just give me a return without me trying to force it into a specific type of response, right? Because that's, again, where you get more issues. Yeah. And so you can see here, and now format the response as JSON. So you can see here that it is doing this, right? And this is part of the parsing that it does. And the only reason I have that there now is because of this sidebar, right? I wanted the information specifically to look like this. Yeah. But sometimes you can get away with just deleting this entirely, right? And so, for example, we put for the tool name, provide, you can just have a return output from there, okay? And essentially what you want to do is just push the parsing aspect or the return as JSON to a later stage if you want to reduce the errors that come out of tools like Bolt, etc. Right? So that's what I meant by that tweet, and I'll share a link to that tweet when I post this video out. All right. Now for this specific tool, right, what's happening also is that I have options when we make the OpenAI call. It's finding out what the average monthly price is, so you can get an idea of what the cost is of all the tools in your stack. And, you know, I use the Techtris format just for a bit of fun, but also so that you can visualize what tools are actually situated across various categories. And all of this is actually powered by another app or platform that I am building in the background called CStack. So if you click on Powered by CStack, it will take you to this waitlist page here. And that's essentially the application that is being powered or is powering this particular application. And so I'll again share this tool with you guys just so you can have a bit of fun. But a lot of this, you know, it's when building with these IDEs, it's great to create something that's quick, very focused and specific. It's when you actually try to create much larger applications that you really start to see the power of each of the individual tools. But for now, tools like Bolt do a very good job of being able to get things up for you quickly, right? It's only once you start playing more and more with all these different tools that you'll see the nuances of how to build better with these types of applications. So here, estimated usage. So this particular section, in order to get it better, Hapstack, basic, right? Let's see. This is, no, I'll say power user. All right. So as I'm updating stuff here on the right, you'll notice that the usage data is also being updated here. Another tip for you guys, if you are building a larger application, but you're creating a lot of free tools, you can also put in some paywalls. So over here, if you want to use any of these sort of features, you will have to join the waitlist, right? But this is a great way for you to be able to build something that you can showcase and share with other people, but then also redirect them to, say, a waitlist landing page or some other page that you need as you're building. So yeah, there you have it. Hopefully that helped clarify a little bit about what I meant in regards to probabilistic versus deterministic ways that these LLMs will return information for you. And again, just as a follow-up, right, what you're looking at is under utils or any files that look like this that is related to the LLM you're using. It's specifically the prompts that are going out to the LLM that you want to look at and try to make simpler so that the return, when it comes back to you, you don't parse it as much, and that in turn reduces the errors that you might find in tools like Bolt. And essentially you just push the parsing aspect of the request to later stages. How that shows up is instead of trying to get all the information for the tools up front here as I'm typing, I'll only generate, right, more details for that tool when I click on a tool, right? You can see here, generate description, etc. And again, I'm using a persistent state. This is another tip for Bolt builders, is if you tell Bolt to make the data persistent, it will store the user's data preferences, selections locally, so that you don't have to worry too much about even setting up a whole database in the background for simple tools like this. Again, if you are wanting to store more data from your user, you can integrate Supabase, but all of this right now does not require Supabase. It's just a way to showcase or feature what it is you're working on and give people an idea. Then you redirect them to your own waiting list or other page. All right. So hopefully that's been useful, and happy building.